All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's going to be a little bit different one here today. I'm just going to have some videos playing in the background, and then we're going to talk about the tuning experience with Ryan Martin, and then at the end we'll talk about what happened with the EcoBoost and why, how, and what's the plans for that. So, starting off, my wife got her EcoBoost back in 2022. Car was used and it was in relatively good shape. Mods started pretty quickly on it. Within about 6 months, the car had an intake, it had an access port, and then it had a no-name eBay intercooler. I recommend going ahead and just buying the CV Fab one or a Cobb one or a CP&E. Just don't even waste your money on the eBay ones unless you're willing to work for it. Granted, the eBay is still better than the factory one, but I still do not recommend that. Now, also, if you hear any noise in the background, the computer is rendering a video as well, so that might be there might be a little bit of noise from there. I'm using some equipment here. I'm using an old EV mic, mainly used for instruments, and an M audio interface. Anybody that's ever done any music recording kind of solo, this is something that people were using probably around a decade or so ago, before a lot of people were using amp modeling and Sims. But I digress. Back to what we're talking about here. So the tuning process, the first tune that we had from him was just a 91 octane tune. The car had intake, intercooler, as well as downpipe and a Tomei exhaust at that point. There was no charge pipes on it. So that whole process, multiple revisions. I don't remember how many total revisions there were, but he was very good, very communicative. Overall, just a great experience. You know, I've worked with other tuners in the past on other platforms, but Ryan Martin was absolutely fantastic. Ryan Martin has been great in the Facebook groups. He's been very willing to help and answer questions and talk and just be overall a really, really good resource. So I really like that. Like I said, the communication process with him was absolutely fantastic. You would send him a revision or a log. He would review it, send you a revision, generally 2 to 3 days, pretty much all the time. Occasionally you'd get stuff in on the weekends. I guess maybe if he was just bored or whatnot, but he was super fantastic and wonderful to work with on that as well. So really, really enjoyed that process with him on the standard 91 octane tune. Now, as time progressed and more mods came to the car, my wife wanted, obviously, more power, so more mods came with that. So we added the charge pipes, we added the methanol kit, which you'll see in the previous video. I believe it should go up before this one. And during that process, it was once again, it was great. You know, she asked him what nozzle to use, what percentage of methanol. He was very attentive, very helpful with that, got right back to us. Gave us the base map, and during this time my wife had to have some surgery, so really that kind of drug that process out. So it took quite a few months for us to get the kit on, and then get the logs going to him, but he was super patient, and you know, we sent him the logs, apologized, and everything was fine. He was fantastic once again to work with. anytime I had any questions, coming from a Subaru background and knowing, knock and ignition correction, things like that were definitely more concerning for me, coming from that Subaru side. So for me, if I'd mention a comment, he would respond back, and be super helpful and explain it. So it was great. His tunes were very conservative and safe. We never had any issues with knock. We never had any issues with ignition timing. The ignition correction factor was always good. So he did a very good job there. Also, being where we are, we have 91 octane fuel. Most of the 91 octane is 0% ethanol. So it's pretty garbage. You definitely want to have some ethanol in there. And then also, when we added the methanol kit to it, that certainly woke the car up. Additionally, talking about kind of how that was the looking at the numbers here, which I will put on screen, virtual dyno numbers on 91. Car made 313 horse and 360 torque. And then also on methanol, car made 378 horsepower and 418 torque. So very good numbers there. Overall, the car was definitely woke up with the methanol. But, obviously we didn't run ethanol due to my wife not wanting to blend. And honestly, I think it all worked out. It was very good. So basically, long story short, Ryan Martin is a great tuner. Ryan Martin does great work. I would recommend him 10 times over if you have an EcoBoost or any platform that he works on. So there's my answer for that. So yes, go to Ryan Martin. I'll link EMS in the description of this video. So the next things are, where did the Mustang go? Why does my wife not have an EcoBoost anymore? And all that good stuff. Well, the car was getting up there in mileage. I think it was around 110,000. We started tuning it around the 65 or 70,000 mile range. Did all the maintenance on it. Of course, we did spark plugs, one step colder, OEM coil packs, of course, oil changes every 5,000 miles. We did entire suspension was replaced because the car had factory struts with the cob springs, and the struts finally went, so we replaced those. And then some components on the car that had to be replaced. But ultimately, the time came, my wife wanted something new. The mileage on the car was starting to get up there, and it was time for a change. She got bit by the horsepower bug, and the car was just kind of a gateway for her. So what happened is, we're talking, you're making 380, 420 torque roughly. You can buy something else and make much more power without having any forced induction in stock off the lot. So basically what happened there was, the tune was finished up probably about 3 months prior to this decision, and knowing what it was going to take to make the EcoBoost faster, to make 500-600 wheel, was going to take a built motor, was going to take a fuel system, and a turbo kit upgrade, and it wasn't, financially it wasn't in the cards, especially with the mileage on the car. So what that caused was a change, obviously. So she went on the search for another vehicle, and the vehicle that she went with was, big surprise, another Mustang. Went with a 2019 with the A10 automatic, so the 10R80 transmission. Obviously, it was a Coyote. It's a Gen 3 Coyote, and the car is amazing. So, you know, she stayed in kind of the Mustang family. Granted, went to a V8 over a 4-cylinder, and also, you know, went with that 10-speed, which is a fantastic transmission. So, ultimately, you know, if power would be easier to make on these cars, these EcoBoosts, and you could, you know, make 500 or 600 horsepower, and it was cheaper, I think there would be a lot more people doing it. But since they don't have port injection, and you either have to add port injection or go with an upgraded direct injectors and high pressure fuel pump, it just doesn't quite make sense. As well as the engines are not really strong enough to make that kind of power either without building them. So hopefully this answers your questions. If you have questions about Ryan Martin or the tuning process or anything that we did or any of the mods, feel free to let me know. Most of the mods that were on her car will be linked in the video for the methanol kit. There were a few other things that we added that weren't on there. I just didn't feel like digging, I'm going to be honest. You know, the car's gone, and I really don't plan on looking at mods for EcoBoost if, you know, if she has something else now. So thank you guys for watching this video or listening to this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will catch you on the next video.